during his court sentencing on Friday. Jane Rosenberg/Reuters. Defense attorney Brian Steele said that Sean Diddy Combs was nearly shanked by another inmate while in Combs, Steele said. Steele spoke to Orland, Brian Steele, and Alexander Shapiro during his court sentencing on Friday. Jane Rosenberg/Reuters. Defense attorney Brian Steele said that Sean Diddy Combs was nearly shanked by another inmate while in custody, adding that a guard narrowly stopped the attack. Sean is not a typical person in custody. Everyone knows him, Steele said. It's a trophy for them. They get recognition if they harm him. Steele said Combs hasn't slept more than 2 hours consecutively since he was arrested. He eats out of bags. He eats chips all day long, he said. Steele said despite the conditions at New York City's Metropolitan Detention Center, the worst part of being in custody is the separation from his family. He sometimes would tell me, it's not worth going on, there's nothing here, there's no more hope. But his family, he could not again bring suffering on them, that would just be more trauma to them, Steele said. 7 hours 9 minutes ago. Combs is so remorseful, defense attorney says. Sean Diddy Combs is so remorseful, defense attorney Brian Steele told the judge. I have been with Sean when he has prayed not only for forgiveness, but for healing for anyone that he has harmed or injured, Steele said. Sean wants nothing for himself. This sentence today is not about him. He wants to get back to his family, for them. 7 hours 9 minutes ago. Defense attorney describes Combs' musical talent. Diddy performs on stage during the 2023 MTV Video Music Awards on September 12, 2023, in Newark, New Jersey. Mike Coppola/Getty Images for MTV. Defense attorney Brian Steele said Sean Diddy Combs got his start in the music industry by taking an unpaid internship at a record label. His ear is better than everyone's, and he can tell what is a good album, what's going to be a #1 hit, and how people should change how they're singing or the way that the beat's constructed, Steele said. Eventually Combs' name became known throughout the music industry, he said. 7 hours 13 minutes ago. Defense addresses trauma in Combs' life. Defense attorney Brian Steele arrives at court for the sentencing hearing of Sean Diddy Combs in New York City on Friday. Brendan McDermott/Reuters. With lunch break over, defense attorney Brian Steele is now addressing the judge. Sean Diddy Combs has impacted so many people in such a positive manner, and Steele is wondering how it came to this, Steele said. I sit here with tears in my eyes because I can't believe we're here, Steele said. Please consider the following 2 reasons I believe we're here: untreated trauma, great trauma in Sean's life, and a ferocious drug addiction that got out of hand. Combs' father was killed when Combs was 3, Steele said, and Sean has no memory of his father. I can't imagine, Steele said. A few years later, his uncle, his mother's brother, overdosed on drugs, a drug addiction that later in life would haunt also Sean. Steele said Combs' mother worked 3 jobs to raise money and move the family to Mount Vernon, New York. Sean's family was one of the only African American families in the area, so for the first time Sean encountered racism, he said. 7 hours 20 minutes ago. A roundup of what has been said in court so far today. From CNN's Aditi Sangal, Lauren Del Valle, Nikki Brown, and Kara Scannell. The sentencing hearing of Sean Diddy Combs is going longer than initially expected, and, so far, the court heard from the prosecution, some of the defense attorneys, and the rapper's children. The defense is continuing to give its presentation now. Here's quick excerpts from their statements. Prosecution: Christy Slavic built the case for accountability and justice for Combs' actions that she said changed the lives of the victims. She reiterated that the government seeks a sentence of at least 135 months, slightly more than 11 years, and claimed that Diddy's respect for law is just lip service as he had already booked speaking engagements in Miami next week. Defense: in arguing for a lenient sentence, the team said Combs' case doesn't compare to many Mann Act cases, which is what his charges stem from. They also highlighted his significance in black culture and his community work and said he is remorseful. Children: 3 of Combs' sons and 3 of his daughters took turns to speak at the podium, saying the rapper has transformed. They asked he be given a second chance and said they don't want to see their 2-year-old sister grow up without her dad. Then the defense played a video of Combs' life and his charity work, which Combs sobbed through. 7 hours 30 minutes ago. Court is back in session. Judge Arun Subramanian is back on the bench, and Sean Diddy Combs' sentencing hearing has resumed. 7 hours 32 minutes ago. Combs and lawyers are back in the courtroom. Sean Diddy Combs, defense attorneys, and
So I hope you guys like your Diddy updates, because that's going to be the last time we Diddy updating for a while. That's not what we're talking about. What's going on? Diddy's family returns to the hotel after the family is sentenced. Why are they in the telly? No, we're not watching the video. I don't want to be stalking them like in real time, like y'all know on Fox News. Why y'all stalking the diddlers?
Sean Combs sentenced to more than 4 years in prison after apologizing for sick conduct. The judge said that a substantial sentence was required to send a message to abusers and victims alike that exploitation and violence against women is met with real accountability. Pinned. Ben Cesario, Julia Jacobs, and Joe Coscarelli. Reporting from federal court. Here is the latest. Sean Combs, the fallen hip-hop mogul, was sentenced on Friday to more than 4 years in prison for prostitution-related offenses, in a case that drew global attention for its lurid accounts of violence and fetishistic sex marathons. Judge Arun Subramanian, who was overseeing the case, said in delivering the sentence of 50 months that a substantial sentence was required to send a message to abusers and victims alike that exploitation and violence against women is met with real accountability. Mr. Combs' lawyers had argued that he was at most a John in hiring prostitutes, and that the sex involved was consensual. Judge Subramanian addressed those arguments directly. "You were no John," he told Mr. Combs. "You were more than that, even if you're..."
He like, you ain't no John. Your name is Sean. The only John you are is Sean John. Okay. Arthur Jones is trending. What's going on, Arthur? It looks like Arthur passed away, and not the Arthur from the brain.
Arthur Jones, who won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, dies at 39. Owings Mills, Maryland. Arthur Jones, a defensive lineman who spent his first 4 NFL seasons in Baltimore and won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, has died. He was 39. Syracuse, Jones' alma mater, said he died Friday morning. The school and the Ravens didn't give a cause of death in their announcements. Arthur's presence was a gift to everyone he encountered, Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta said. His big, bright smile, infectious energy, and eternal positivity created a presence that continuously uplifted others. Jones was a 5th-round draft pick in 2010 and had 8.5 of his 10 career sacks in a 2-season stretch in 2012-13. The Ravens beat San Francisco in Super Bowl 47 to cap the 2012 season. Jones sacked 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick just before a power outage at the Superdome in New Orleans. He also had a fumble recovery in that Super Bowl. "My heart is heavy today after the loss of Art Jones," Ravens coach John Harbaugh said. Art was a truly remarkable person, a dedicated teammate, a relentless worker, and someone any coach would be proud to lead. His love for life, generous spirit, and radiant smile left a lasting impression on everyone fortunate enough to know him. He had a genuine gift for connecting with people, bringing joy to the locker room and beyond, and his presence was a source of light within our team and the Baltimore community. Jones also spent 2 years with Indianapolis and a final season in Washington in 2017. Jones played for Syracuse and was the older brother of former UFC heavyweight champion John Jones and former Syracuse and NFL defensive end Chandler Jones, a 4-time Pro Bowler who won a Super Bowl in New England. Jones had 38.5 tackles for loss at Syracuse, a school record for an interior defensive lineman. He was a first-team All-Big East selection each of his final 2 seasons. Arthur Jones was a tremendous player and even better person, Syracuse athletic director John Wildhack said. "We were fortunate that Arthur continued to support our football program after his playing career. He impacted many of our student athletes, always with a smile and uplifting message."
So, we're off of that. Rest in peace, Arthur Jones. Taylor Swift is also trending. What's going on, Taylor? What are you doing now? Okay.
Taylor Swift's fairy tale is over. The singer has everything she ever wanted. Her new album suggests that it's all sort of a drag. Subscribe to Listen 1.0x. Listen to more stories on the Noah app. She doesn't sound like she's having fun. She has the team captain, the cushion-cut diamond, the fans who will shell out for yet another branded cardigan, but Taylor Swift's the life of a showgirl, and the life it seems to portray is a charmless chore. Swift spends her 12th album pondering familiar bummers, rivalries, regrets, the countdown clock of her own mortality. What's new, narratively, is her football player fiancé and the happily ever after he represents. But she can't quite convince herself, or the listener, that she's getting what she's always said she wants. She's become too cynical to sell a fairy tale. Theoretically, this is an interesting place for Swift, that ever-striving Sagittarius, to be, at the end of a checklist of goals and still unsatisfied. Her Economy's Quaking Eras tour flaunted the power earned by years of hard work. Her engagement to Travis Kelce appeared to fulfill the romantic quest she has long sung about. Success certainly puts her under no obligation to fake a smile and hide her anxieties. Unfortunately, Showgirl is the sound of an overworked and overexposed entertainer reaching the mountaintop to find something worse than disappointment, burnout.
Okay, so we're about to be on to the next story because it seems like Taylor Swift got tailored out, and I don't know what's going on with Taylor. So we're going to look at another story about Taylor because Taylor is trending.
5 takeaways from Taylor Swift's Showgirl movie. The pop star's new album arrived with a limited run film in which she debuts a video for The Fate of Ophelia and chats about the LP's songs. Taylor Swift's new album arrived with the official release party of A Showgirl, and not quite a movie that's taking over screens around the world this weekend. Credit, Alex Roblewski/Agence France Presse, Getty Images. Taylor Swift fans congregated at an Upper West Side AMC theater on Friday in folklore cardigans. The seats of an auditorium were adorned with friendship bracelets reading I'd Lie and Reputation, names, of course, of Swift songs. Instead of trailers, the theater played a pre-show of Swift tracks with album art from The Life of a Showgirl, the pop star's newly released 12th original album. The occasion was the official release party of A Showgirl, Swift's not quite a movie that's taking over screens around the world this weekend. Unlike the concert film, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, from 2023, the official release party of A Showgirl feels more like the bonus features on a DVD. The 89-minute movie includes the video debut for the lead track, The Fate of Ophelia, which Swift wrote and directed, and behind-the-scenes footage of the shoot, plus lyric videos for the rest of the songs on the album featuring looped images of Swift in showgirl regalia. Before each video, Swift gives brief explanations of her thought process behind the song. Here are 5 highlights. She wanted The Fate of Ophelia to have firm connections to Shakespeare. The Ophelia video opens with Swift mimicking John Everett Millet's painting of the doomed heroine of Hamlet. She then cycles through what she later describes as various types of showgirls. In one scene, she's a 1960s go-go dancer. In another, a Sarah Bernhardt-type theater actress. Later, she stages a Busby Berkeley-style dance sequence where she's dressed in retro swimwear. She finally transforms into the pop star we know her to be, catching a football in a hotel hallway while wearing a sparkly mini dress. Image. The cover of The Life of a Showgirl. Credit, Republic Records, via Associated Press. The video ends with Swift, half submerged in a tub, the exact image on the album cover. It's an effort to underscore the Ophelia connection, she says in the film while in conversation with her collaborators, which include the Killers of the Flower Moon cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto. So, art history for pop fans. Swift breaks down her diss tracks. Father Figure and Actually Romantic are 2 of the most speculated about songs on Showgirl because they are the easiest to read as diss tracks. In the official release party, Swift explains herself, sort of. Discussing Father Figure, she describes why she decided to interpolate George Michael's song of the same name. I always thought it could be cool to use the line, I'll be your father figure, as a creative writing prompt and turn it into a story about power and a story about a young ingenue and their mentor, she says, later noting that she relates to both parties in her invented tale. Swift also discusses reaching out to Michael's estate and keeping it updated on the process, because I know how sacred songwriting is. That statement could add fuel to the theory that Father Figure is about Olivia Rodrigo, who gave Swift writing credit on 2 tracks off her debut, Sour. Swift was more coy when talking about Actually Romantic, which many presume is about Charlie XCX. In the release party, Swift calls the song a love letter to someone who hates you, and adds, in my industry, attention is affection. Her intro was met with laughter and applause from the audience who were, naturally, Team Swift. Wood gets a clean version. Swift wrote what is probably her most sexually explicit track to date with Wood, which seems to reference her fiancé's anatomy, but the official release party is a clean affair. Instead of fessing up to her not-so-thinly veiled innuendo, she says that it's a song about superstitions. The lyric video changed the likes of his love was the key that opened my thighs, to his love was the key that opened my skies. Swift is a go to call 4 canceled pals. Swift has a rarefied life, but in her introduction for Cancelled, she tries to make the case that anyone can know what it's like to feel social backlash. In the track, she sings about her friends getting along because they have matching scars. Apparently, Swift is mentor for those who need support after being publicly shamed. Anytime people get backlash, I tend to be the person they reach out to, she says. Swift thinks Sabrina Carpenter has what it takes to be a superstar. The only other artist featured on The Life of a Showgirl is Sabrina Carpenter, who shows up on the title track, a story song about a fictional showgirl named Kitty, who tries to warn Swift about her lifestyle. Swift tells her viewers that she wanted Carpenter to sing a verse because her fellow singer and songwriter has what it takes to follow in her footsteps. She's also really well equipped for this career. She is so good at moving through backlash or criticism or people just being unfair to her or picking her apart, Swift says. She has the temperament to, like, pivot and use it as fuel. Carpenter recorded her part during days off from her tour in Sweden. And that is a showgirl for you, Swift announces, beaming.
Okay, I know you guys are Swift out a little bit now. You guys are done listening to Taylor Swift to find out what's going on with Taylor Swift. So we on to the next news story, the ruined friendship of Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is crashing out and ruining friendships. Will you be like her? I don't know.
Blake Lively reacts to Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl album release. Blake Lively showed her support for Taylor Swift's latest album, The Life of a Showgirl, despite rumors the two had been taking a friendship break amid Blake's legal troubles. Did you bro boss too close to the sun? / did they catch you having far too much fun? She sang on the pre-chorus. Come with me, when they see us, they'll run / something wicked this way comes. And as Taylor added in the chorus, I like am cloaked in Gucci and in scandal / like my whiskey sour / and poison thorny flowers, she sings on the track. Welcome to my underworld / where it gets quite dark / at least you know exactly who your friends are. Steph Chambers / Getty Images. Fans were quick to point out that many of the references in Cancelled match up with Blake, whose children with Ryan Reynolds, James, 10, Inez, 8, Betty, 5, and Olin, 2, Taylor has name-checked on previous albums. Girl was the face of Gucci, one fan wrote on X, pointing out Blake's relationship with the brand and also referencing her Betty Buzz liquor, adding, did the Flower movie and had her own brand of sours. Might as well name drop come on now. However, Taylor hasn't shared who she wrote Cancelled about, and it seems unlikely to be about the It Ends With Us legal saga, seeing as she wrote The Life of a Showgirl during her Eras tour, which wrapped in December 2024, a couple weeks before Blake first accused her director of sexual harassment, a claim he's denied. Matt Winkelmeyer / Getty Images for the Recording Academy. As Taylor explained during an Amazon Music intro to Cancelled, the takeaway is really about how she sees people differently having gone through her own public scandals. Having had my own experiences with mass judgment and being at the center of many dramatic, sort of scandalous moments in my career, the Grammy winner shared, it makes me move through the world a little bit differently, and when other people go through it, find yourself thinking about how they're probably going to get smarter because of this. If they can get through it, if they can be tough enough, they can actually learn some things through this process. As she added, she doesn't naturally cast people aside just because other people decide they don't like them. I make my own decisions about people, Taylor continued, based on how they treat me within my life and their actions. To decode more lyrics from The Life of a Showgirl, keep reading. Myrtleass and Marcus Piggott. 1. The Fate of Ophelia. The opening song on Taylor Swift's The Life of a Showgirl references the character Ophelia from William Shakespeare's Hamlet, who faces a tragic fate. According to the song's lyrics, Taylor might have drowned in the melancholy if she hadn't been saved by her true love. I heard you calling / on the megaphone, Taylor sings. You want to see me all alone. The lyrics appear to be a nod to Travis Kelce calling Taylor out on his New Heights podcast for not meeting him at her Eras tour, which is how their romance began. I swore loyalty to me, myself, and I, the lyrics continue. Right before you lit my sky up. Before meeting Travis, Taylor was fresh off a breakup from Maddie Healy, having declared herself one of the independent girlies in July 2023. But after Travis went to her concert in Kansas City that same month, sparks began to fly. Now, Taylor's fiancé is even in on her Easter egg game, teasing The Fate of Ophelia lyrics on Instagram back in July. Had some adventures this off-season, he captioned pics with Taylor, adding, kept it, 100. How does that connect to Taylor's song? Well, as the lyrics go, you dug me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia / keep it 100. Silver Screen Collection / Getty Images. 2. Elizabeth Taylor. Taylor gives a nod to another famous showgirl, the late Elizabeth Taylor, in the second song on the album, even naming Elizabeth's favorite places, Paris Plaza Athenee as well as Los Angeles' Musso and Frank's. In the lyrics, Taylor also draws parallels between her and the Cleopatra actress. Like Taylor today, Elizabeth often made headlines for everything from her love life to her dazzling outfits. But, as Taylor notes in her song, oftentimes it doesn't feel so glamorous to be me. Myrtleass and Marcus Piggott. 3. Opalite. In Upbeat Opalite, which Travis previously revealed as his favorite showgirl song, Taylor references their love story. After weathering her fair share of lightning strikes in relationships, now Taylor's sky is calm, it's Opalite, with Travis. I had written down the word opalite because I learned that it's actually a man-made opal, she revealed on Capitol Radio. Travis' birthstone is opal, so that I've always fixed on that. I've always loved that stone. As for the meaning behind the synthetic glass gemstone, I thought it was a cool metaphor that it's a man-made opal and happiness can also be man-made, too. However, it's not without some bite, as Swifties think Taylor shaded Travis X Kayla Nicole in the lyrics by hinting the NFL player felt kind of like a prop in her social media pics. You couldn't understand it / why you felt alone, she sings, seemingly to him. You were in it for real / she was in her phone. The song goes on, you were just a pose / and don't we try to love / and give it all we got /
Yo, that's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to keep the lights on, but that's definitely crazy. Like, said, oh, you was just a trend. So you saying you was hopping on the next trend, so the next dude trending, you gonna get him?
You finally left the table / and what a simple thought / you're starving till you're not. Amy Sussman / Getty Images and Sean Gallup / Getty Images.
If I can get 1 million likes on this video, I'll see if Taylor do a OF flick with me.
Images. 4. Father figure. While Taylor, Max Martin, and Shellback are credited as showgirl writers, the late George Michael receives a posthumous credit on Father Figure because the song includes an interpolation of George's 1987 track of the same name. George's team even gave their stamp of approval, writing on Instagram October 2nd, "Thank you at Taylor Swift for including George in such a special moment." Fans speculate that the first half of the song is written from the perspective of Big Machine Records' Scott Borchetta, who sold Taylor's masters to Scooter Braun, before switching to Taylor's perspective on her reclaiming them. Taylor herself admitted that the song was written in character. "That was a fun one to write," she said on BBC One Radio. "It's a very different way of using the idea of a father figure to King of talk about power structures, and the flipping of the power dynamics. Plus, she's pretty proud of a specific NSFW line about making deals with the devil because my DKS bigger." Kevin Winter /TAS24 Getty Images for Showgirl, known to be the spot on an album that Taylor reserves for her most heartbreaking songs. In Eldest Daughter, Taylor, who Andrea Swift and Scott Swift welcomed before also becoming parents to Austin Swift, sings about navigating all of life's high.
So you saying Swift is their real name? Swift is their surname? I thought that was like a stage name.
Highs and lows, but always sticking with the ones she loves. "'Cause I'm not a bad bitch / and this isn't savage / and I'm never gonna let you down," the lyrics note. "I'm never gonna leave you out / so many traitors / smooth operators / but I'm never gonna break that vow." Taylor Hill.
Why is you coming at? If you hear this, shots fired. Shots fired. You know what shots she fired, but the thing is, this goofy bitch gonna get ignored.
/TAS23 Getty Images for TAS Rights Management. 6. Ruin the Friendship. Track 6 on Showgirl tells a story of regret over a romance that didn't quite get off the ground. The lyrics are filled with nostalgia. "Have fun, it's prom / wilted corsage dangles from my wrist / over his shoulder I catch a glimpse / and see you looking at me / and it was not an invitation / but as the 50 Cent song played / should have kissed you anyway."
So there's a 50 Cent song played? Okay, Taylor. Taylor is really out there right now. I don't know what's going on with Taylor, but I know Taylor Swift is like 3 of the 5 That is crazy, chat. That is crazy. I've never said Taylor Swift so much in my life. What's going on with this on NPR? Let's see what NPR has to say, and then we'll go to NY Times. If y'all like it, I love it.
8 takeaways from Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. Taylor Swift created her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, as she was touring her discography around the world and falling in love with her now fiancé, Travis Kelce, all under an incredibly bright spotlight. When she announced its release on a widely watched August episode of Kelce's New Heights podcast, she promised a peek into everything that was going on behind the curtain during her grueling, record-breaking, 21-month Eras tour. "This album isn't really about what happened to me on stage, it's about what I was going through off stage," Swift said. Swift, one of the biggest pop stars in the world, has a reputation for writing highly confessional songs even as she tries to keep parts of her personal life private, a balancing act that she especially seems to grapple with on The Life of a Showgirl. Armed with bright melodies, bold beats and referential lyrics, Swift takes shots at the industry and fame itself while swooning over Kelce and the life they are building together. The 12 tracks are packed with takedowns of unnamed critics, wry odes to her beau and hints at what the showgirl has her sights set on next. Here are 8 key takeaways. The album pulls no punches. Swift said on New Heights that the album comes from an infectiously joyful, wild, dramatic place. But a lot of the songs on it have much darker undertones, with Swift taking shots at those who have criticized or, in her view, flat out wronged her. She bemoans cancel culture and welcomes scandal-plagued friends to her underworld and cancelled. Actually Romantic is actually a diss track, in which Swift saccharine thanks another artist for their attention. Father Figure, which interpolates George Michael's 1987 hit by the same name, is a retelling of a betrayal by a music industry executive. Swift is no stranger to biting back at her enemies. She's done it throughout her career, from seeking post-breakup revenge on her debut albums, Picture to Burn, to telling off her detractors on 2010's Mean, not to mention the darkly defiant tone of her entire Reputation album. It reunited Swift with her Reputation producers. Swift flew back and forth to Sweden during the European leg of her tour to create The Life of a Showgirl with Max Martin and Shellback, whom she previously worked with on 2012's Red, 2014's 1989 and 2017's Reputation. The Swedish producers and songwriters have partnered with a long list of hitmakers including Britney Spears, Kesha, Usher and One Direction, and Martin even has a Broadway jukebox musical, and Juliet. The three have made what Swift described on New Heights as some of her favorite songs, including We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, I Knew You Were Trouble, Shake It Off, Blank Space, Style and Ready for It. For her last 4 albums, Swift collaborated primarily with Jack Antonoff and The National's Aaron Dessner. She said reuniting with Martin and Shellback felt like catching lightning in a bottle. It's a return to pop. Swift said on New Heights that her goal for this album was to create melodies that were so infectious that you're almost angry at it, and lyrics that are just as vivid but crisp and focused and completely intentional. That's a departure from some of Swift's more recent albums, which she herself has described as esoteric. Whereas her last album The Tortured Poets Department was really a full catharsis, whose goals were strictly lyrical, Swift said Showgirl, and her life while writing it, is much more upbeat. The proof is in the uptempo beats of Showgirl songs like Honey and Opalite, plus the saucy wordplay in Wood, Redwood Tree / It Ain't Hard to See / His Love was the key / that opened my thighs. That doesn't mean all of its songs are pure, shiny pop. Eldest Daughter, the 5th track on the album, is a piano ballad. It's about Swift's relationship with fame and the music industry. Swift has grown up in the spotlight, releasing her first album as a teenager in 2006 and often writing about the music industry itself. Now 35, she seems to have both sharpened her critiques of the system and made her peace with her place in it. In Elizabeth Taylor, named after the heavily scrutinized Hollywood star, she sings, Be my New York when Hollywood hates me, you're only as hot as your last hit, baby. She says she would trade the Cartier for someone to trust, then murmurs, just kidding. Then there's the final and titular track, The Life of a Showgirl, feat. Sabrina Carpenter. In it, a seasoned showgirl warns an aspiring performer about the dark side of success, an especially interesting dynamic considering Swift is seen as a mentor to Carpenter, who was one of her era's tour opening acts. As the veteran thanks the newcomer for her bouquet, she tells her the life of a showgirl is not as glamorous as it seems. They leave us for dead, she says, they ripped me off like false lashes, and then threw me away. It's also about her relationship with Kelsey. The album is in many ways an ode to Swift's relationship with Kelsey, which began after he tried unsuccessfully to approach her during one of her era's tour shows. She credits New Heights, where he publicly pursued her, with getting her a boyfriend. Swift references that courtship in the first track, The Fate of Ophelia. The opening lyrics of the album are, I heard you calling on the megaphone, you want to see me all alone. And if you'd never come for me, I might have drowned in the melancholy. She goes on to sing Kelsey's praises in other songs including Honey and The Raunchy Wood. Girls, I don't need to catch the bouquet to know a hard rock is on the way, Swift sings before name-dropping the Kelsey Brothers podcast. Seems to me that you and me, we make our own luck. New heights of manhood, I ain't got a knock on wood.
It's a sleep stream. We have one set up for the TV and the computers or stuff like that, game systems, and we got one set up for the phones.
Wood. Swift also sings of her hopes for marriage and motherhood, admitting on Eldest Daughter that when I said I don't believe in marriage, that was a lie. On $T, she says she wants a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you. We tell the world to leave us the F*** alone, and they do, she continues. Got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. Boss up, settle down. I just want you. The two announced their engagement in late August. But not all the songs are about him. One of the album's love songs, Ruin the Friendship, is clearly not about Kelsey, if its hometown references to Nashville and Second Period are any indication. Its lyrics suggest it's about Swift's romantic regrets, should have kissed you anyway, with a school crush who has since died, news delivered by her best friend Abigail, who was famously referenced in 15 on Swift's 2008 Fearless album. Elsewhere, the track Actually Romantic, which looks at first glance like it would be a love song, is actually addressed to a Swift hater. Fans are speculating the song is about fellow musician Charlie XCX, whose song Sympathy is a Knife from last year's album Brat was rumored to be about Swift. On that song, Charlie sings about a girl who makes her feel insecure. Don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show. I hope they break up quick. Charlie is married to George Daniel, who is a member of the British group The 1975 alongside Maddie Healy, whom Swift briefly dated during the Eras tour. In Actually Romantic, Swift seemingly alludes to Charlie XCX's song. Wrote me a song saying it makes you sick to see my face, some people might be offended, Swift sings. But it's actually sweet, all the time you've spent on me. It's spoken like someone who owns her masters. In May, Swift announced that she had bought back the masters for her first 6 albums from a private equity group, who had in turn gotten them from music executive Scooter Braun. Braun acquired Swift's first music label, Big Machine Label Group, and with it Swift's masters in 2019. Upset by the deal, it sparked Swift's years-long quest to re-record and release them as Taylor's version albums. Swift doesn't explicitly address that fight on the new album. But the song Father Figure describes a toxic mentorship from the perspective of a powerful male music executive, who sings of taking Swift under his wing in exchange for her loyalty and making deals with the devil for pure profit. The song would appear to reference former Big Machine head Scott Borchetta and his sale of her masters to Braun. In a 2019 Rolling Stone interview, Swift said of Borchetta, "To go from feeling like you're being looked at as a daughter to this grotesque feeling of, oh, I was actually his prized calf that he was fattening up to sell to the slaughterhouse that would pay the most." It's only 12 songs, as promised. Swift is known to drop surprise double albums and extra songs, like the Tortured Poets Department anthology that turned a 16-song album into a 31-song opus, and the 7 extra tracks released on the 3 a.m. edition of 2022's Midnights. But Swift promised the life of a showgirl would be different. There's no other songs coming. This is 12. There's not a 13th, she said on New Heights. No singles were released before the album came out. But just because it's a relatively pared-down album doesn't mean it isn't getting full-blown promotion.
If I told Taylor Swift to drop a track 13, she'd drop a track 13, 14, 15, 16, but she only likes to go to 12. I don't mess with chicks unless they 25 or up.
Promotion. Swift has sold 8 different vinyl variants in the lead-up to the album's release, and is scheduled to appear on the late-night circuit next week. She is also releasing an 89-minute movie, called The Official Release Party of a Showgirl, which includes the world premiere of Her, The Fate of Ophelia music video and behind-the-scenes footage of the album's creation. It will be in theaters nationwide Friday through Sunday.
Are we going to find out more about Taylor Swift? Probably, because we haven't gotten to the Los Angeles Times yet. And Los Angeles Times did not let us in. But we got something from CBS that we haven't got to yet.
Taylor Swift releases The Life of a Showgirl to much fanfare. Taylor Swift's 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, was released at midnight Friday to much anticipation from her fans. Swift wrote and produced the album with Swedish producers Max Martin and Shellback while she was on the European leg of her record-breaking Eras tour. "I can't tell you how proud I am to share this with you, an album that just feels so right," Swift wrote in an Instagram post early Friday morning just after the album was released. "A forever thank you goes out to my mentors and friends Max and Shellback for helping me paint this self-portrait. If you thought the big show was wild, perhaps you should come and take a look behind the curtain." The Life of a Showgirl is out now. The pop star announced the album, which has 12 tracks, in August on New Heights, the podcast hosted by her fiancé, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, and his brother, former Philadelphia Eagles center Jason Kelce. Swift, Martin, and Shellback have written several of Swift's past hits, including We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Blank Space, and Shake It Off, but this is the first album to only feature their collaborations. "We knew that we had to bring the best ideas we've ever had," Swift said about working with Martin and Shellback when she announced the album. In celebration of the new music, a nearly 90-minute show, The Official Release Party of a Showgirl, will play at AMC theaters nationwide Friday through Sunday. The show includes the premiere of a music video for the album's first track, The Fate of Ophelia, behind-the-scenes footage from the filming of the music video, stories behind each song and lyric videos, Swift said. "Looks like it's time to brush off that Eras tour outfit or orange cardigan," Swift wrote on social media announcing the show. "Dancing is optional but very much encouraged." The Life of a Showgirl became the most pre-saved album in Spotify history, the streaming service said on September 1st. The last release to set that record was Swift's 11th studio album, The Tortured Poets Department, which came out in April 2024. Taylor Swift.
background music on for you guys, because, like, it's a little difficult to do what I be doing, to turn a phone into a computer. But sometimes somebody gotta do it, because ain't nobody else doing that type of stuff I'm doing, and there's nobody to teach me. But it looks like we got a sports team trending. Is it the 49ers in the gold and white?
Kendrick Bourne says Mac Jones has peace now after QB was in a different world in New England. Mac Jones may not have been the player he was drafted to be, but he's playing like a starter in the NFL so far this season. Jones went 2-9 as a starter in his final year with the New England Patriots in 2023 before being forced into starting duties with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2024 at the end of the year, where he went 2-5. Through 3 starts in 2025, he's already exceeded expectations with a 3-0 record and impressive stats to back him up. The former first-round pick took over for San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, who has been dealing with a turf toe injury that has caused him to miss Week 2, Week 3, and Week 5. Jones has stepped up in the role with the best start of his career, throwing for 905 yards, 6 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. One of Jones' favorite targets last week was Kendrick Bourne, who was his teammate on the New England Patriots from 2021 to 2023. Bourne said he noticed a difference between Jones the Patriot and Jones the 49er. It's just awesome to see him in this space. How I seen him in New England was a different world for him. So to see him now, with the piece he has, he's playing free and having fun. I think it's a big part of the game for him, and it's showing, Bourne said. Jones nearly set career highs in completions and passing yards against the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday in the 49ers win. His 6 touchdown passes in the first 3 games tie him with Jim Plunkett for most in franchise history. Mac is he's built the right way. His mental is the right way, Bourne said. He prepares the right way. I've seen it for a while now.
How's life, caller? You got anything to say about the Taylor Swift situation? Do you have any input about Taylor Swift throwing Rihanna under the bus?
Fuck no, I don't fucking worry about that gay ass fucking goddamn
See, when they be cussing and everything, we be trying to have a smooth news stream for the nighttime.
I'm just proud of him, man. You can tell he's confident and things like that. Bourne also had a notable day in Thursday's 26-23 win, with 10 receptions for 142 yards. Mac's a good quarterback and KB's a good receiver. I know we call it chemistry when they connect, but they like each other. They played with each other in New England. It was impressive today, Coach Kyle Shanahan said after the game. The 49ers are dealing with a laundry list of injuries, but are still first in the NFC West.
Okay, and now we're off the 49ers. The 49ers are 49ing, and I don't know, but I know if you're 49, you're probably 69. And if you a 69 guy, you might know Drake or you might know Kendrick. And I don't know, but we got this dude over here, super duper duper man. I don't know why he's so mad, but we got some more news about Taylor Swift about to hit the
5 takeaways from Taylor Swift's Showgirl movie. The pop star's new album arrived with a limited-run film in which she debuts a video for The Fate of Ophelia and chats about the LP's songs. Taylor Swift's new album arrived with the official release party of A Showgirl, and not quite a movie that's taking over screens around the world this weekend. Credit, Alex Robluski/Agence France Presse, Getty Images. Taylor Swift fans congregated at an Upper West Side AMC theater on Friday in folklore cardigans.
I don't know if he realized.
The seats of an auditorium were adorned with friendship bracelets reading I'd Lie and Reputation, names, of course, of Swift songs. Instead of trailers, the theater played a pre-show of Swift tracks with album art from The Life of a Showgirl, the pop star's newly released 12th original album. The occasion was the official release party of A Showgirl, Swift's not quite a movie that's taking over screens around the world this weekend. Unlike the concert film, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, from 2023, the official release party of A Showgirl feels more like the bonus features on a DVD. The 89-minute movie includes the video debut for the lead track, The Fate of Ophelia, which Swift wrote and directed, and behind-the-scenes footage of the shoot, plus lyric videos for the rest of the songs on the album featuring looped images of Swift in showgirl regalia. Before each video, Swift gives brief explanations of her thought process behind the song. Here are 5 highlights. She wanted The Fate of Ophelia to have firm
What's up, caller? Welcome to the internet. You have anything to say, caller?
connections to Shakespeare. The Ophelia video opens with Swift mimicking John Everett Millay's painting of the doomed heroine of Hamlet. She then cycles through what she later describes as various types of showgirls. In one scene, she's a 1960s go-go dancer. In another, a Sarah Bernhardt-type theater actress. Later, she stages a Busby Berkeley-style dance sequence where she's dressed in retro swimwear.
We'll get another
She
call
finally
in a few
transforms
minutes.
into the pop star we know her to be,
We'll get another
catching a
call
football
in
in
a
a
few
hotel hallway while wearing a sparkly mini
I
dress.
forgot I'm supposed to be talking
Image.
low.
The cover of The Life of a Showgirl. Credit, Republic Records, via Associated Press. The video ends with Swift, half submerged in a tub, the exact image on the album cover. It's an effort to underscore the Ophelia connection, she says in the film while in conversation with her collaborators, which include the Killers of the Flower Moon cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto. So, art history for pop fans. Swift breaks down her diss tracks. Father Figure and Actually Romantic are two of the most speculated about songs on Showgirl because they are the easiest to read as diss tracks. In the official release party, Swift explains herself, sort of. Discussing Father Figure, she describes why she decided to interpolate George Michael's song of the same name. I always thought it could be cool to use the line, "I'll be your father figure," as a creative writing prompt and turn it into a story about power and a story about a young ingenue and their mentor, she says, later noting that she relates to both parties in her invented tale. Swift also discusses reaching out to Michael's estate and keeping it updated on the process, because I know how sacred songwriting is. That statement could add fuel to the theory that Father Figure is about Olivia Rodrigo, who gave Swift writing credit on 2 tracks off her debut, Sour. Swift was more coy when talking about Actually Romantic, which many presume is about Charlie XCX. In the release party, Swift calls the song a love letter to someone who hates you, and adds, "In my industry, attention is affection." Her intro was met with laughter and applause from the audience who were, naturally, Team Swift. Wood gets a clean version. Swift wrote what is probably her most sexually explicit track to date with Wood, which seems to reference her fiancé's anatomy, but the official release party is a clean affair. Instead of fessing up to her not-so-thinly veiled innuendo, she says that it's a song about superstitions. The lyric video changed the likes of "His love was the key that opened my thighs" to "His love was the key that opened my skies." Swift is a go to call 4 canceled pals. Swift has a rarefied life, but in her introduction for Cancelled, she tries to make the case that anyone can know what it's like to feel social backlash. In the track, she sings about her friends getting along because they have matching scars. Apparently, Swift is mentor for those who need support after being publicly shamed. Anytime people get backlash, I tend to be the person they reach out to, she says. Swift thinks Sabrina Carpenter has what it takes to be a superstar. The only other artist...
Okay, we gonna be off Taylor Swift, I hope, but Taylor Swift is like everything trending tonight. I thought it was gonna be a lot more... It's just more Taylor Swift, guys. There's not too much more we can do with Taylor Swift. I'm sorry, Swifties. I'm sorry, but we listen to everything, every article online about Taylor Swift. And if you guys want to know more about Taylor Swift, you might want to just go sleep with her or something.
Dame Patricia Routledge, the life of TV's magnificently snobby Hyacinth Bucket. 16 hours ago. Getty Images. Dame Patricia Routledge, who has died at the age of 96, imprinted herself on the national consciousness as the snobby Hyacinth Bucket. Insisting it was pronounced bouquet, Hyacinth ran roughshod over her long-suffering husband and bewildered neighbors in Keeping Up Appearances, one of Britain's most successful sitcoms in the 1990s. Behaving like a duchess while living in a suburb, Bucket's monster social climbing schemes were ultimately doomed to failure, while she battled to maintain her dignity. It was Dame Patricia's most famous role in a career that saw her win theatrical awards on both sides of the Atlantic, become the star of Alan Bennett's famous TV monologues, and become BBC One's crime-busting Hetty Wainthropp. Keeping Up Appearances star Patricia Routledge dies at 96. Patricia Routledge as the indomitable Hyacinth Bucket in BBC One's Keeping Up Appearances in the 1990s. Catherine Patricia Routledge was born in Birkenhead on February 17, 1929. Her father was a haberdasher, and she later recalled sheltering from German bombs in the basement of his shop during the war. She studied English at the nearby Liverpool University and intended to teach. Instead, she joined the Liverpool Playhouse before training at the Bristol Old Vic. Her successful stage career took her from the provinces to the West End, and eventually to Broadway, where Leonard Bernstein chose her to star in his musical 1600, Pennsylvania Avenue in 1976. Getty Images. Patricia Routledge gets ready for a performance in 1962. She had already won a Tony Award for her performance in Darling of the Day. She could move effortlessly from comedies to classics. She went from Stratford-upon-Avon, appearing with the Royal Shakespeare Company, and then to the National Theatre in London. There, her starring role in the stage musical Carousel involved her singing the rousing "You'll Never Walk Alone." There were also various minor film roles, notably in the 1967's To Sir, With Love, and the Jerry Lewis comedy outing, Don't. Getty Images. Patricia Routledge and Jerry Lewis in Don't Raise the Bridge, Lower the River. Early small screen work included popular programs like Z Cars and Steptoe and Son. And later, one of Britain's most respected playwrights, Alan Bennett, wrote a set of outstanding Talking Heads TV monologues for her. Routledge overcame her initial reluctance to perform his scripts and excelled as a woman of no importance and a lady of letters. She went on to play a lonely, middle-aged department store clerk tipped into a relationship with a kinky podiatrist in Bennett's Miss Fawcett Finds Her Feet. Finding her feet is Alan Bennett's lonely, middle-aged Miss Fawcett. A comic turn as the larger-than-life kitty on the Victoria Wood show led to the creation of Hyacinth Bucket. Routledge recalled being sent the scripts by the writer, Roy Clark, who had also done Last of the Summer Wine and Open All Hours. I had opened the script for a moment at 1 o'clock in the morning, she said. I read straight through and Hyacinth leapt off the page. I knew that woman, I knew several of that woman. Keeping Up appearances ran for 5 series and included 4 Christmas specials. In a documentary, she later claimed that fans had included Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and Pope Benedict XVI. Patricia Routledge as Hyacinth Bucket alongside Clive Swift, who played her husband, Richard. It became BBC Worldwide's most exported program ever and meant Routledge was recognized as far away as Botswana. For her work on the sitcom, she was voted Britain's all-time favorite actress in 1996, but after 5 years in the role, she felt it was time for a change. I brought it to an end, she said, which, of course, the BBC didn't care for very much. She thought that Roy Clark was beginning to recycle ideas and recalled a piece of advice from the comedian, Ronnie Barker. He always left with people saying, "Oh, aren't you doing any more?" She said, rather than people saying, "Is that still on?" Patricia Routledge as Hetty Wainthropp, Lancashire housewife turned sleuth. Playing the homely but astute detective in Hetty Wainthropp Investigates brought her continued success on television, but she always called the stage the test. Long after she stopped appearing regularly on screen, Routledge made theater tours both in the UK and abroad. Whenever interviewers asked the inevitable question, she asked them to spell out the word retirement because, she explained, it's not in my vocabulary. She never married or had children, but told interviewers of 2 great affairs in her youth, one with a married man. I felt guilt and an acute sense that there had to be loss, she confessed. I suppose I convinced myself that it was all right for the time being because his marriage was not a living thing. Instead, she dedicated herself to her craft, serving it with the talent, discipline, and commitment that were always admired by her colleagues. Getty Images. Patricia Routledge was awarded an MBE, a CBE, and later became a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire. She was scathing about the BBC's decision in 2016 to bring back Keeping Up appearances, but this time set in the 1950s and featuring a younger version of her character. Questioning the corporation's policy of resurrecting old sitcoms, she said, "Why are they doing this sort of thing? They must be desperate." She had already clashed with the BBC over its decision not to commission a documentary she had written about the author Beatrix Potter. Routledge was a patron of the Beatrix Potter Society, which eventually aired on Channel 4. On turning 90, she continued to live quietly in Chichester, where she busied herself raising money for the cathedral roof. In 2017, she became a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, but unlike Hyacinth, honors did not go to her head. Dame Patricia always said she thanked her northern roots and solid family for giving her good sense with her time and her money. Nonetheless, she admitted that, should any extra cash come her way, she'd definitely spend it on a case of champagne and appreciation of the finer things in life that she shared with her most famous character. "I was never stage-struck," she said. "I'm not stage-struck now. Nobody's more surprised than I am that I have, in fact, spent my life doing this." Comedy. Television.
And we're going to see what else is trending tonight, because you guys know what we do. We are the trend watchers. We are the trend chasers. If it's trending, we will be there. And what's going on? What's going on? So much stuff. Did we hear about Carly and Taylor Swift? Because I know you guys are loving our Taylor Swift coverage. And if you love Taylor Swift like we don't love Taylor Swift, give me a big F you in the comment section below. I don't know what I just did with this phone. I need somebody to teach me how to use my phone. Am I getting old? Maybe. be? Oh, we got the Rolling Stone coverage of Taylor Swift. Everybody is covering Taylor Swift.
Is Taylor Swift's actually romantic about Charlie XCX? A look back at their friendship.
The only person that's not covering Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift.
Charlie XCX, and Taylor Swift posed backstage at iHeartRadio Jingle Ball 2014, hosted by Z100 New York and presented by Goldfish Puffs at Madison Square Garden on December 12, 2014 in New York City. Kevin Mazur/Wire Image/Getty Images. There are moments across Taylor Swift's newly released album, The Life of a Showgirl, that revel in the theatrics of public spectacles and high drama, something she knows well. Her 12-album discography has no shortage of friends, foes, lovers, and skeptics playing key characters in her music, but her new song, Actually Romantic, introduces a new leading lady who fans can't stop speculating about. A lot of this is because most people think the track is about Charlie XCX. The two artists have orbited each other for years, having even shared the stage together on Swift's Reputation tour. But their stars blazed different paths for them both, converging again only by a twist of fate. Charlie fell in love with the 1975's George Daniel in 2022, then a year later, Swift had entered a highly public and controversial situationship with the 1975's Maddie Healy. For the first time in a while, their pop worlds fully collided. Charlie seemed to have feelings about this on the Brat record Sympathy is a Knife, and Taylor seems to have feelings about her feelings on Actually Romantic. Here's how we got here. Popular on Rolling Stone. 2018, Reputation Tour. Taylor Swift tapped Camila Cabello and Charlie XCX to join her as openers for her Reputation Stadium tour in 2018, welcoming both singers on stage for a rendition of Shake It Off Every Night. Charlie was with her for the entirety of the tour, even joining her in Australia and New Zealand at the end of the run. A year later, Charlie made headlines for an interview where she spoke about opening for Swift. "I'm really grateful that Taylor asked me on that tour," she told Pitchfork. "But as an artist, it kind of felt like I was getting up on stage and waving to 5-year-olds. I've done so much of it, and it really cemented my status as this underdog character, which I like now." Charlie later clarified that she felt the quote had been taken out of context, adding on Twitter at the time, "I've been playing a ton of 18-plus club shows, and so to be on stage in front of all ages was new to me and made me approach my performances with a whole new kind of energy. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity one was given." 2023, Taylor Swift starts dating the 1975's Maddie Healy. Taylor and Charlie's paths crossed once again in 2023, this time thanks to the 1975. At the time, Charlie and her now husband, George Daniel, the band's guitarist, had been together for at least a year after going Instagram official in 2022. Swift started dating the 1975 frontman Maddie Healy after weeks of speculation in May 2023, although they only lasted a few months together. Healy seemed to become the subject of several songs on the Tortured Poets department, including Guilty as Sin. She also seemed to address the criticism she faced for dating Healy on I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. The pair reportedly broke up in June 2023. George and Charlie's romance ended up in a different direction. The pair got engaged in late 2023 and tied the knot over the summer of 2025. "I want to dance with George Forvert," she captioned some of her wedding pictures. June 2024, Sympathy is a Knife. Charlie XCX's Unexpected Brat was sold as an album with fewer complexities than she set out to communicate across its track list. But as much as she was bumping that on 365, she was also putting her biggest insecurities under a microscope on Girl, So Confusing, about how she and Lorde orbited each other before they worked it out on the remix, and Sympathy is a Knife, which many people thought revolved around Swift. Related content. In the first verse, she sets the stage, "This one girl taps my insecurities / don't know if it's real or if I'm spiraling." Later, she gets a little more direct, singing, "Don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show / fingers crossed behind my back. I hope they break up quick." Listeners were quick to make the connection to Swift and Healy. Charlie tapped Ariana Grande for the remix, but that did little to quell rumors that Swift was deep under her skin. June 2024, Charlie explains Sympathy is a Knife. While Charlie hasn't directly addressed whether Sympathy is a Knife references Swift, she did say in a since-deleted TikTok post that there are no diss tracks on Brat. She issued the clarification after lyrics to the album leaked, and also criticized the experience of being a female artist, where you are pitted against your peers but also expected to be best friends with every single person constantly. If you're not, you're deemed a bad feminist. "I think it's really just only human to at some points in your life compare yourself to other people," she said while explaining Sympathy is a Knife during a Brat track by track. "I think there's a lot of shame around it, and there's a lot of worry that you're not a strong enough person, or you don't know yourself well enough, or that you're deeply insecure if you do it. Maybe you are, but that's fine. You can't be too tough on yourself, because the world is really vicious and really hard, and envy is a natural emotion for people. Sometimes you just have days where you feel small or anxious or that you're not good enough. I definitely have those days. June 2024, Charlie tells people to stop yelling, "Taylor is dead." Charlie XCX called out her fans after a June show in Sao Paulo, where videos surfaced of crowds chanting, "Taylor is dead." On Instagram stories, she urged them to stop. "Can the people who do this please stop, online or at my shows? It is the opposite of what I want, and it disturbs me that anyone would think there is room for this in this community." She added, "I will not tolerate it." October 2024, Swift shouts Charlie out in Vulture cover story. In an interview with Vulture, Charlie went deeper into "Sympathy is a Knife." "That song is about me and my feelings and my anxiety and the way my brain creates narratives and stories in my head when I feel insecure and how I don't want to be in those situations physically when I feel self-doubt. Sometimes I'd look on stage and be like, oh my god, I'm never going to play these rooms, ever. That made me feel jealous. I told Maddie that. And George. They were both like, shut up. What are you talking about?" In that same interview, Swift was quoted praising Charlie. "Her writing is surreal and inventive, always. She just takes a song to places you wouldn't expect it to go, and she's been doing it consistently for over a decade," Swift said. October 2025, Actually Romantic drops. "I heard you call me boring Barbie when the cokes got you brave/high-fived my ex, and then you said you're glad he ghosted me," Swift sings on the opening verse of the Showgirl track. Online, speculation quickly mounted, with people guessing it referenced Charlie's "Everything is Romantic" in its title. But "Sympathy is a Knife" seemed to be the bigger issue. "Wrote me a song sayin' it makes you sick to see my face," she continues in an apparent reference to the track. "Some people might be offended / but it's actually sweet / all the time you spend on me." Swift is rarely ambiguous. How many artists sold vinyl records filled with white powder? The line, "How many times has your boyfriend said / why are we always talking about her?" feels like a response to Charlie singing, "George says I'm just paranoid / says he just don't see it, he's so naive." But other shots on the song feel rooted in private interactions. "You think I'm tacky, baby / stop talking dirty to me / it sounded nasty, but it / feels like you're flirting with me," Swift sings. "I mind my business, God's my witness that I don't provoke it." In a track-by-track, Swift shed more light on the song, saying, "Actually Romantic" is a song about realizing that someone else has kind of had a one-sided adversarial relationship with you that you didn't know about, and all of a sudden they start doing too much. They start letting you know that, actually, you've been living in their head rent-free and you had no idea, and it's presenting itself as them sort of resenting you or having a problem with you. She goes on to say she accepts it as attention and affection, and how flattering that somebody has made you such a big part of their reality when you didn't even think about them.
And we're about to be moving on to the next story. Are you guys asleep yet? We're not asleep yet, but we're getting very close. What's going on with Patricia? We already dealt with Patricia. Chevron. Something is going on in Chevron, and it appears not to be in English. It could be in English. It may be in English.
Massive fire at Chevron refinery in California contained, officials say. 12 hours ago. Nadine Yusuf. Watch, oil refinery fire turn night skies orange over Los Angeles. Firefighters in California have contained a massive overnight blaze at a jet fuel production unit at Chevron's El Segundo refinery near Los Angeles. Residents in El Segundo, some 20 miles 32 kilometers southwest of Los Angeles, reported feeling a major blast around 21:30 local time, 4:30 Greenwich Mean Time, on Thursday, with orange flames and plumes of smoke visible around the refinery. City officials say there is no public threat or evacuation orders currently in place. The cause of the blast is under investigation. In a statement, Chevron called it an isolated fire and said that all refinery personnel and contractors have been accounted for and there are no injuries. No evacuation orders for area residents have been put in place by emergency response agencies monitoring the incident, and no exceedances have been detected by the facility's fence line monitoring system, the company said. It is unclear how much damage the refinery suffered from the explosion and fire. The Chevron refinery is located near the Los Angeles airport and supplies jet fuel for its operations, though there was no immediate impact to the facility, LA Mayor Karen Bass said in a statement. Flights at the airport are operating as normal. The El Segundo refinery, built in 1911, is Chevron's second largest in the U.S. and produces 285,000 barrels of crude oil every day. It supplies a fifth of all motor vehicle fuels and 40% of the jet fuel consumed in Southern California, Reuters reported. El Segundo Mayor Chris Pimentel said firefighters were able to respond immediately to the blast. Our station is about a 0.25 mile away from the gates of Chevron, Pimentel told reporters. Obviously, we are very concerned, and there is a lot of investigative work to be done to see what has happened. The blaze was visible as far as Los Angeles and filled the air nearby with the smell of petrol. In addition to investigating the explosion, officials in the city of El Segundo said they are monitoring air quality levels for signs of pollution. One nearby resident, Mark Rogers, told the Los Angeles Times that the blast was startling for people nearby. I thought we got nuked or something, Mr. Rogers told the local newspaper. Another resident, Keith Moore, said the flames looked like they were 300 foot. I didn't know if a plane crashed or there was an earthquake or both, he said. With additional reporting from Crystal Hayes in Los Angeles, United States. California.
And we got more news going on. Did Ed Gein, I don't know, but we're gonna find out.
Did Ed Gein kill his brother? Answers to that and more about Wisconsin killer in Netflix Monster series. Netflix dropped Monster, the Ed Gein story on October 3rd, the latest installment from producer Ryan Murphy that chronicles notorious killers through scripted drama. It's the second time Murphy has drawn from a story set in Wisconsin. Netflix has said the 2022 release, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, is one of the biggest hits the streaming service has ever had. Gein predates Dahmer's story by more than 30 years. The earlier killer only confessed, and evidence supports this, to 2 murders, but he also exhumed 9 bodies from nearby cemeteries, gruesomely cutting and mutilating them into masks, upholstery and more in his Plainfield home. As upsetting as his crimes seemed, he became the template for serial killers in film, notably characters in Psycho, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs. Here's what to know about the show and the killer. Information is drawn from past reporting and books, The Ed Gein File, A Psycho's Confession and Case Documents, produced and edited by John Borowski, and Ed Gein, Psycho, by Paul Anthony Woods. Did Ed Gein kill his brother, Henry? The first episode of Monster portrays Gein killing his 43-year-old older brother, Henry, after Henry expressed a desire to get away from their domineering mother, Augusta. In the show, Gein strikes Henry with a piece of wood, then drags his body into the woods and stages a brush fire to explain Henry's death. The real brush fire in question took place in the spring, not the winter, as portrayed on the show, and fires of that sort were common. Henry's body sustained serious burns, and the official cause of death was asphyxiation leading to heart failure. Though his body did exhibit some markings that could have been wounds, officials at the time ruled out foul play. Gein never confessed to having a role in his brother's death, but he did confess to murdering 2 women. After those crimes became known, they gave rise to some suspicion that Ed played a role in Henry's death. Ed is the one who alerted town officials of the fire, leading them to the location where Henry was found. Did Ed Gein really talk like he does in the Netflix show? Actor Charlie Hunnam discussed with Variety the process of cultivating Ed Gein's voice. Recordings of Gein's voice are rare, but Hunnam was able to get audio of a 70-minute interview. Did Ed Gein have a girlfriend, Adeline Watkins, who introduced him to World War II atrocities? Gein was friendly with a woman named Adeline Watkins, who gave an interview in a Minneapolis newspaper about their relationship that was characterized as a 2-decade romance, though she clarified in a follow-up interview that details were blown out of proportion. She said they had a shared love of reading. Gein had developed an interest in tribal cultural practices around the world, which he read about in geography magazines, according to Ed Gein, Psycho. Though she is portrayed in the first episode of the miniseries, the real-life Adeline Watkins refuted the idea that she had a lengthy romance with Gein. She insisted she didn't know him well until 1954, long after the events of the first episode. She said their closeness lasted roughly 7 months, and only intermittently. She said they attended some movies together and that she'd never been inside his house. Gein never shared any additional details about Watkins. The show portrays Watkins introducing Gein to the story of Ilsa Koch, a real-life Holocaust war criminal. Both Koch and Gein were notable for creating a lampshade out of human skin, though it isn't clear if Gein had followed her story particularly closely, and Watkins would not have been the person to introduce him to that information. Where and when did Ed Gein commit 2 murders? Gein lived in the rural Wisconsin community of Plainfield, located in Waushara County in the center of the state. That's more than 2 hours northwest of Milwaukee and roughly 1.5 hours from Madison, due south of Plainfield, and Green Bay, east of Plainfield. He was arrested in November 1957 after the body of local hardware store owner and shopkeeper Bernice Wardens, 58, was found hanging from hooks and mutilated in his shed. Investigators discovered additional body parts inside the Gain home, including the remains of Mary Hogan, a 51-year-old tavern owner who had been missing for 3 years. Gain later confessed to killing her, though he was never tried for that crime, nor for grave robbing, which he also admitted to. Also found in the house were human skulls, a lampshade made from human skin, more than a half-dozen masks made from the flesh of female faces, and a wearable corset made from the skin of a female torso. Police came to question Gain after Warden's disappearance because he left behind a receipt for antifreeze in the store. A pool of blood was also found in the store. Why did Ed Gain say he committed his crimes? Gain reportedly told investigators that his deep, conflicted connection to his mother, Augusta, made him want to become a woman, or more like one. After repeatedly visiting his mother's grave in the cemetery, Gain decided to dig up corpses to help him become more like a woman, by wearing their skin. During his interrogation for Warden's death, he told at least one investigator that she reminded him of his mother. These details became part of the sordid inspiration for Buffalo Bill, a serial killer portrayed in Silence of the Lambs, as well as Norman Bates in Psycho, a movie based on a story first written by Milwaukee writer Robert Bloch. What else do we know about Ed Gain's mother, Augusta Gain, and his father? Ed's mother was fervently religious, convinced that the devil was at work all around and that most people were full of sin. Ed's father, George, held a variety of jobs, but by most accounts, he wasn't successful at any of them. At home, Augusta was in charge. Ed's father, George, died of heart failure in 1940. 5 years later, Augusta had a stroke, with Ed acting as primary caretaker. Later that year, 1945, the story goes, after Augusta went into a rage over seeing a neighbor who had a woman who wasn't his wife in his house, she had a second stroke that killed her, leaving Ed on his own. These events are portrayed in the first episode of Monster. What happened at Ed Gain's trials? Gain was arraigned on a single count of first-degree murder for Warden's death. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity and was determined unfit to stand trial. He was sent to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane, part of what is now the Dodge Correctional Institution, in Waupun, and later transferred to the Mendota Mental Health Institute in Madison. A second trial was held in 1968, after the staff at Central State Hospital concluded that Gain was fit to stand trial. Gain was found guilty of murder, but in a follow-up proceeding was ruled to be not guilty, again by reason of insanity. Is Ed Gain still alive? Gain spent the rest of his life in the Mendota Mental Health Institute and died there in 1984 at the age of 77. The cause of death was respiratory failure, related to lung cancer. Was Ed Gain originally from Wisconsin? Gain was born in La Crosse, Wisconsin, in 1906, as the younger of 2 sons. When Ed was young, he and his family moved to an isolated farm in Plainfield, in Waushara County in central Wisconsin. Monster, the Ed Gain story, cast. Charlie Hunnam, an English actor best known for starring in the FX series Sons of Anarchy, is playing Gain. Hunnam's other movie credits include The Lost City of Z, Cold Mountain, and Pacific Rim. He played King Arthur in King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Variety called Hunnam's work as the year's most daring TV performance, rooted in a painful, just barely recognizable humanity, and spoke to the actor at length about the role. Other members of the cast include Emmy winner Laurie Metcalf as Augusta Gain, Tom Hollander as director Alfred Hitchcock, Olivia Williams as the filmmaker's wife, Alma Reville Hitchcock, and Leslie Manville as Gain's second murder victim, Bernice Wardens. Wait, does that mean Ed Gain met Alfred Hitchcock? No, but the story of the miniseries appears to dovetail into Gain's fixation in popular culture and how he became the archetype for characters in movies like Hitchcock's Psycho. Milwaukee novelist Richard Bloch wrote Psycho, the book adapted by Hitchcock into a movie. Hitchcock, long considered the master of suspense, loved the novel and, over the objections of his movie studio, had it adapted for the big screen as a graphic horror movie. The 1960 movie, powered by Bernard Herrmann's chilling score, Anthony Perkins' unnerving portrayal of hotel manager Norman Bates, for the movie, much younger than the character in Bloch's novel, and Hitchcock's uncanny showmanship, revolutionized the horror genre. Why does Ryan Murphy love Wisconsin Killers so much? The series has been wildly successful for Netflix. Netflix claims the Dahmer miniseries is the 4th most watched show in Netflix history. The Dahmer series received 19 Primetime Emmy nominations, with Niecy Nash winning for Best Supporting Actress in a limited or anthology series or movie for her portrayal of Glenda Cleveland, the Milwaukee woman who tried to get police to investigate Dahmer. Last September, Netflix released the second installment of Murphy's monster canon with Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, prompting a renewed conversation around the case of the brothers who were convicted of killing their parents in 1989. Contributing, Chris Foran, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
now we have another story for you guys. Are you guys
New
ready?
video published by Homa TV station raises serious questions in Karen Lacey crash. Homa, Louisiana, WAFB. Shocking new video that was published by Homa TV station HTV shows former LSU football standout Karen Lacey was apparently behind the vehicles that crashed last year, and at the time, not weaving in front of them, forcing a driver to take evasive action, painting a different picture than what investigators initially told the public about the wreck. During a 44-minute interview with HTV and Martin False published Friday, October 3rd, Lacey's attorney, Matthew Ory, said there was no way Lacey could have been responsible for the crash that killed Herman Hall. The interview on HTV also includes body camera video of a state trooper instructing a witness on what to write in a report. During the HTV interview, Ory pointed to a portion in the report, attributing it to the district attorney's office, saying, "The evidence submitted in the crash report does not support that Karen Lacey should have known that his actions were the cause of the crash that happened approximately 72 yards in front of him." Lacey's lawyer was not immediately available for comment. He has maintained Lacey's innocence from the very beginning. Related, Karen Lacey's defense attorney denies fault of former LSU star in connection with deadly crash. Lacey died in April 2025 in Houston, months after state police arrested him for causing the crash. You can watch the full interview with HTV here. In January 2025, state police said. On Friday, October 3rd, LSP issued the following statement. Following the crash, LSP conducted a detailed investigation with the assistance of crash reconstruction experts and with all available information at the time. Investigative findings revealed that Mr. Lacey's reckless driving while approaching oncoming traffic led to the events of the crash. The findings were presented to the 17th Judicial District Court, which approved an arrest warrant based on the evidence collected. As with all investigations leading to arrest, the subjects of the investigation are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. LSP. Click here to report a typo. Please include the headline. Click here to subscribe to our WAFB 9 News Daily Digest and breaking news alerts delivered straight to your email inbox. Watch the latest WAFB news and weather now.
And make sure you watch WTFFN as well, because we always got that smooth news for you guys every night. Every night we do this all the time. And if you guys don't do this, I don't know what to tell you. But we got the news.
Why Cool Kicks founder Adil Shams was arrested after LAPD raid. First details out. Adil Shams, the founder of popular sneakers brand Cool Kicks, was arrested on a live stream when LAPD raided its store. Update, Cool Kicks has issued a statement after its founder Adil Shams was arrested on a live stream when the Los Angeles Police Department apparently raided its store. Cool Kicks founder Adil Shams was reportedly arrested by LAPD, LinkedIn. In a statement to HT.com, Cool Kicks said, yesterday, the LAPD impounded a small allotment of Nike sneakers that Cool Kicks purchased and received within the last 48 hours, alleging that the merchandise was stolen. This news came as a complete shock to our entire team. Neither Cool Kicks leadership, nor our staff, had any knowledge or reason to believe that these products were stolen. We entered into this purchase in good faith, as we always have, committed to running an honest business built on integrity and trust. The company, however, clarified that there have been no allegations that any of the products were counterfeit. Cool Kicks takes pride in serving our loyal community with authentic, high-quality products and service. It is at the heart of our culture. We want to reassure our community that the integrity of our products remains our highest priority, the company added. We are confident the truth will come out, and the trust we have worked so hard to earn will remain strong. Also read, D4BD's manager issues strong 6-word response in fresh twist to Celeste Rivas case. Original story, Adil Shams, the founder of popular sneakers brand Cool Kicks, was arrested on a live stream when the Los Angeles Police Department apparently raided its store. The Whatnot online auction stream was on when officials entered the store and detained Shams. Complex cited official booking records to reveal that Shams was arrested by the LAPD's Bunko/Forgery Agency. The division primarily handles cases linked to fraud, counterfeit goods, and similar offenses. It is unclear exactly why the Cool Kicks founder was detained. The video was first shared on Reddit. Social media users speculated that Shams was a victim of a swatting prank. While there are no official statements on the matter, the Complex report added that it is being alleged that Shams' arrest was linked to the possibility of the store selling counterfeit products. The report further cited booking records to add that Adil was released at midnight, and a court date for this case has been set for October 23rd at the LA Superior Court. Cool Kicks was raided yesterday by the LAPD's Bunko/Forgery Division, which handles fraud and counterfeit goods cases, leading to the arrest of founder Adil Shams on felony charges related to alleged fraud, one person wrote on X, platform formerly known as Twitter. Cool Kicks' first store opened in 2014 in Virginia. Adil Shams then opened its most popular location in Melrose in Los Angeles in 2016. Cool Kicks is the leading influential, exclusive, and aspirational lifestyle brand for sneaker culture and streetwear. Cool Kicks represents authenticity and cultural lifestyle, attracting an enthusiastic community of sneakerheads, including A-list celebrities. A distinctive brand, Cool Kicks has over 4.5 million followers across social platforms worldwide and over 4 billion YouTube impressions alone. Successfully built a multi-million-dollar brick-and-mortar sneaker retail chain to provide affordable sneakers, according to the founder's LinkedIn profile.
So I'm finding some interesting things, and you guys aren't on sewer yet, you might want to get on sewer right now.
Charlotte vs. South Florida prediction, odds, line, start time, 2025 College Football Week 6 picks by model. Head coach Alex Golash and the South Florida Bulls open AAC play when they take on the Charlotte 49ers on Friday night. Charlotte is coming off a 28-17 loss to Rice on September 18th, while USF cruised to a 63-14 win over South Carolina State on September 20th. The 49ers, 1-3, 0-1 American, who were 5-7 overall in 2024, will be playing their first true road game of the year. The Bulls, 3-1, 0-0 American, who are 1-0 against unranked opponents, are 2-0 on their home field. Kickoff from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. South Florida leads the all-time series 2-0, including a 59-24 win last season at Charlotte. The Bulls are 28-point favorites in the latest South Florida vs. Charlotte odds, while the over-under for total points scored is 55.5 via Sportsline consensus. Before making any Charlotte vs. South Florida picks, check out the college football predictions from the Sportsline projection model. New users can also target the DraftKings promo code, which offers $200 in bonus bets instantly if your initial $5 wager wins. The model simulates every FBS game 10,000 times. Since its inception, it has generated a betting profit of well over $2,000 for $100 players on its top-rated college spread football picks, and is a profitable 35-22 combined on moneyline and over/under college football picks since the beginning of 2024. Anybody following its college football betting picks at sportsbooks and on betting sites could have seen strong returns. Now, the model has set its sights on Charlotte vs. South Florida. You can visit Sportsline now to see the picks. Here are the FBS college football odds and trends for USF vs. Charlotte. Charlotte vs. South Florida spread. South Florida -28 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Charlotte vs. South Florida over/under. 55.5 points. Charlotte vs. South Florida money line. South Florida -6,250, Charlotte +1,800. Charlotte vs. South Florida picks. See picks at Sportsline. Charlotte vs. South Florida streaming. Fubo, try for free. Why South Florida can cover. The Bulls are led by dual-threat quarterback Byron Brown. The senior has completed 73 of 116 passes, 62.9%, for 983 yards and 6 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. He is also second on the team in rushing, carrying 47 times for 120 yards, 2.6 average, and 2 touchdowns. In a 34-7 win over Boise State in the season opener, he completed 16 of 24 passes, 66.7%, for 210 yards, while rushing 14 times for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. Among his top targets in the passing game is senior transfer Chaz Nimrod. Nimrod played his first 2 seasons at Tennessee, before transferring to South Florida this past offseason. In 4 games, he has 14 receptions for 367 yards, 26.2 average, and 2 touchdowns. In the win over South Carolina State, he caught 4 passes for 119 yards, 29.8 average, and 2 touchdowns. See which team to back at Sportsline. Why Charlotte can cover. Junior quarterback Connor Harrell helps lead the 49ers offense. He is in his first year with the program after 2 seasons at North Carolina. In 4 games this season, he has completed 64 of 96 passes, 66.7%, for 737 yards and 4 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. He has also rushed for a pair of touchdowns. In a 42-35 win over Monmouth, he completed 26 of 30 passes, 86.7%, for 382 yards and 3 touchdowns with 1 interception. He also carried 13 times for 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. Among his top targets is senior transfer wide receiver E.J. Mason. He is in his first season with the program after 2 years at Samford. He has caught 20 passes for 308 yards, 15.4 average, and 3 touchdowns. In the win over Monmouth, he caught 10 passes for 228 yards and 2 scores. See which team to back at Sportsline. New users can also check out the latest FanDuel promo code and get $300 in bonus bets instantly at FanDuel if your $5 bet wins. How to make Charlotte versus South Florida picks. Sportsline's model is going under on the total, projecting 54 combined points. It also says one side of the spread hits in well over 60% of simulations. You can only get the pick at Sportsline. So who wins South Florida versus Charlotte, and which side of the spread hits well over 60% of the time? Visit Sportsline now to see which side of the Charlotte versus South Florida spread to jump on, all from the advanced model that finished up over $2,000 on its FBS college football picks since its inception, and find out.
Come on, babe. Alright, I'm trying to get something working for us, but it's looking like ain't nothing working. So we might not do this trend today. And we do this trend today, we're gonna do a different trend, you feel?
American climber Balin Miller dies aged 23 while climbing El Capitan. American climber Balin Miller has died at the age of 23 while climbing at Yosemite National Park, his mother confirmed on Thursday. Miller was attempting to summit El Capitan, Yosemite's iconic wall soaring 3,000 feet from the valley floor, via the Sea of Dreams route when the accident occurred. Janine Mormon, Miller's mother, wrote in a blog post on the VIRR website, the family's outdoor goods business. "This is unthinkable," Mormon wrote in tribute to her son. "At this time, we do not yet know all the details. What we do know is that the world has lost an extraordinary soul, and our hearts are shattered." Mormon went on to describe her son as having a touch of Robin Williams' wild energy. Strategic, curious, and endlessly playful, he brought light wherever he went. El Capitan is a popular destination for big wall climbers, best known as the site of Alex Honnold's Oscar-winning free solo documentary, during which Honnold scaled the rock face without ropes. Miller had been hoping to lead a route at some point in Yosemite, Mormon said, having recently completed an ice and alpine climbing trip in his home state of Alaska. A popular figure in the climbing community, Miller would live stream some of his climbs on TikTok and was affectionately known as Orange Tent Guy due to his eye-catching camping equipment. He would often wear silver glitter across his cheekbones during climbs, a look he likened to a warrior putting makeup on before going into battle, in an interview with Climbing magazine earlier this year. According to Mormon, Miller was introduced to rock climbing by his father at a young age. His early years in the sport were spent in the mountains of Alaska, before graduating to cliffs and ranges across the world, living a nomadic life in pursuit of adventure, Mormon said. Balin was full of life, a true wild card at heart, she added. He lived simply, often out of his silver Prius, scraping together a shoestring income to support his greatest passion, climbing. In June, Miller completed what is believed to be the first solo climb of the Slovak direct route on Mount McKinley in Alaska, North America's highest peak, also known as Denali. Miller's death came on the first day of the federal government shutdown, with many national parks at risk of closing or having limited services available to visitors.
That's crazy, guys. There's so much crazy stuff going on in the world. Now we got Delaware football trending. Why is Delaware football trending? We don't
Colorado
know.
State versus San Diego State livestream. Where to watch online. CBS Sports Network Channel Finder. Odds. The 2025 college football season ramps up in Week 6 with 7 live games on CBS Sports Network across 3 straight days of action. The marathon kicks off Thursday night as Sam Houston visits New Mexico State in search of its first win of the season. A Friday doubleheader follows in Conference USA with Delaware hosting Western Kentucky, then shifts west for a Mountain West clash between Colorado State and San Diego State. You can bet college football games this week at FanDuel Sportsbook, where new users get $300 in bonus bets with a winning $5 wager. Click here. Saturday brings 4 more matchups. Ball State opens its MAC schedule against reigning conference champion Ohio, while UConn looks to extend its winning streak to 3 when Florida International comes to town. The evening is capped by a Mountain West doubleheader. UNLV travels to Wyoming before Nevada closes the weekend against Fresno State. CBS Sports Network will carry all 7 games, with full viewing info, betting lines, and key storylines to follow as Week 6 unfolds. All times Eastern odds via Sportsline consensus. Colorado State versus San Diego State. Date, Friday, October 3rd. Time, 10:30 p.m. Location, Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego, California. TV, CBS Sports Network, Channel Finder, live stream, CBSSports.com, mobile, CBS Sports app, free, spread, San Diego State -5.
No, we ain't doing the spreads. If you guys want to look up the spreads, you guys can look up the spreads. But we don't spread spreads like that over here. We spread regular spreads. And if you want the spread, then I don't know, guys.
Official weigh-in results, UFC 320, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. UFC 320, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 will take place Saturday, October 4th at T-Mobile Arena with the main card at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time on the ESPN app. The prelims will be available on ESPN News, ESPN Deportes, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. The early prelims will kick off at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time on ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and UFC Fight Pass. How to watch UFC 320 in your region. Main event and co-main event scheduled for 5 rounds each. All other bouts scheduled for 3 rounds each. UFC 320, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 official weigh-in results. Main card. Main event, light heavyweight, Magond Ankalaev, 204.5, versus Alex Pereira, 204.5. Co-main event, bantamweight title bout, Merab Dvalishvili, 135, versus Corey Sandhagen, 134.5. UFC 320 full fight card preview. Light heavyweight bout, Yuri Prochaska, 206, versus Khalil Roundtree Jr., 205. Featherweight bout, Josh Emmett, 146, versus Youssef Zalal, 146. Middleweight bout, Abuz Magomedov, 185.5, versus Joe Pyfer, 186. Unlock more of your inner combat sports fan with UFC Fight Pass. Fighting is what we live for. And no one brings you more live fights, new shows, and events across multiple combat sports from around the world. With a never-ending supply of fighting in every discipline, there's always something new to watch. Leave it to the world's authority in MMA to bring you the ultimate 24/7 platform for more combat sports, UFC Fight Pass. Continue watching. Early prelims. Women's bantamweight bout, Macy Chiasson, 137.5, * versus Yana Santos, 135. Bantamweight bout, Patchy Mix, 136, versus Jakub Wiklax, 136. More UFC 320, embedded, co-main. Kim Kardashian's Elizabeth Taylor docuseries for BBC lands at Fox Nation. Elizabeth Taylor and Kim Kardashian Getty/Fox Nation. Elizabeth Taylor, Rebel Superstar, the Kim Kardashian-produced docuseries that was originally commissioned by the BBC, has landed at Fox Nation. The streamer has acquired the US rights to the 3-part series, which aired on the British public broadcaster last year. The series will air in the US on October 6th after Fox Nation struck a deal with distributor Fremantle for the Passion Pictures-produced series. Elizabeth Taylor, Rebel Superstar explores the life of one of the most iconic women of the 20th century, peeling back the glamour to uncover the force of nature behind the fame. Each episode explores how Taylor shattered Hollywood's glass ceiling, built a billion-dollar business empire, and transformed celebrity activism through her pioneering work in the fight against HIV/AIDS. It also features the first-ever filmed interview with Taylor's son, Chris Wilding, alongside reflections from Dame Joan Collins, Sharon Stone, and Paris Jackson. Watch on Deadline. Kardashian herself conducted Taylor's final interview in 2011. The influencer told Harper's Bazaar last year that she was always drawn to Taylor. "We were actually supposed to meet up for tea at her house, and then she fell ill," Kardashian said. The pair subsequently spoke over the phone. "We were talking about fighting for people," she added. She understood her power and her beauty. Taylor, who was born in London, died in 2011. Credits included Cleopatra and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. James House directed the series, Gemma Chisnell was series producer, and Caroline Sayama produced. Exec producers included Kardashian, Hamish Ferguson, Carrie Leah, David Moulton, and Andrew Ruiman.
So interesting, guys. So interesting. And then we'll check out this other one too. But everybody's going to spin the Kardashians like they can't do no wrong. Can the Kardashians do wrong? I don't know.
Kim Kardashian heads to Fox Nation as streamer acquires U.S. rights to Elizabeth Taylor, Rebel Superstar. The Fox streaming service will debut the docuseries, which premiered last year on the BBC, on Monday. Elizabeth Taylor, 1932 to 2011, circa 1955 silver screen collection / Getty Images. Kim Kardashian is heading to Fox Nation, with the Fox News on streaming service acquiring the U.S. rights to Kardashian's docuseries Elizabeth Taylor, Rebel Superstar. The series premieres on Fox Nation on Monday, October 6. The series, which chronicles the life and career of one of the 20th century's most recognizable figures, includes the first-ever filmed interview with Taylor's son, Chris Wilding, alongside interviews with Dame Joan Collins, Sharon Stone, and Paris Jackson. Kardashian, who conducted Taylor's final interview in 2011, also appears in the series. Rebel Superstar is produced by Kardashian and Passion Pictures and distributed internationally by Fremantle. It debuted on the BBC last year. Related video. With Fox News core programming on the Fox One streaming service, Fox Nation has leaned into ancillary fare anchored by famous faces, and supplemented with some exclusive sports and event programming. The service picked up a Yellowstone documentary from Kevin Costner, a docudrama from Martin Scorsese called The Saints, and a true crime series led by 50 Cent. But it also acquired rights to a wrestling promotion from the late Hulk Hogan, and inked a deal with TKO for rights to professional bull riders' live events. Elizabeth Taylor may not be true crime or bull riding, but the golden age of Hollywood may resonate with some subscribers, with the platform also hosting some classic movies. Watch the trailer for Elizabeth Taylor, Rebel Superstar below.
On to Dollywood. I don't know what's going on with Dollywood. We're going to find out what's going on with Dollywood. And this is
Dollywood owners have shut down 2 newly acquired entertainment parks. Hershend Family Entertainment Corporation has recently announced the closure of 2 family entertainment centers, which were acquired from Palace Entertainment in May. Susan Glazer, Cleveland.com. The parent company of Dollywood has closed 2 of their other amusement parks in Georgia. WSB-TV reports that Malibu Norcross, an arcade and go-kart amusement center in Gwinnett County, and Mountasia Family Entertainment Center in Cobb County, both in Georgia, have recently been shut down. Malibu Norcross and Mountasia were among the assets acquired by Hershend Family Entertainment Corporation when they bought the Palace Entertainment's 24 parks and attractions in the United States in May of this year. Pennsylvania amusement parks Dutch Wonderland and Kennywood are among the parks formerly operated by Palace Entertainment, now owned by Hershend. Hershend jointly owns Dollywood, along with singer Dolly Parton through her Dolly Parton Productions Entertainment Company. These centers have played an important role in their communities, and we're incredibly grateful to the hosts who've created so many joyful memories for families, said Andrew Wexler, Hershend CEO, in a statement to WSB-TV. This decision is in no way a reflection on the hosts or the quality of the experiences offered, but rather a recognition that family entertainment centers operate differently than the types of attractions we are best structured to support, the statement read. Latest updates. Portland police accused of bias by both sides, chief says an update on ICE protests. Portland, Oregon, KPTV, President Donald Trump on Saturday announced he will send troops to Portland. Trump and his administration have cited weeks-long demonstrations outside the Portland ICE facility, framing them as violent riots tied to Antifa domestic terrorists. His announcement was met with pushback from Oregon's governor and leaders in Portland. Oregon conservatives praised the president's decision. On Sunday, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield says he filed a lawsuit in U.S. District Court against the Trump administration. There is a hearing in Portland federal court scheduled for Friday for a temporary restraining order that would prevent the deployment of troops under Title 10. Live updates follow. 3 p.m. U.S. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon posted a copy of the letter addressed to Portland City Attorney Robert Taylor and PPB Chief Bob Day, requesting materials including unredacted body camera footage and reports related to incidents involving conservative influencers Nick Sorter and Katie Davis Court. Dillon has set a deadline to receive the materials by Friday, October 10th. Acting at the direction of our AG Pam Bondi, we at Civil Rights have launched an investigation into Portland, OR's highly questionable police practices. Stay tuned. We will not leave the people of Portland at the whims of criminals and woke cops. Govern yourselves accordingly. https://t.co/does/psfevolve AAG Harmeet Dillon, at AAG Dillon, October 3, 2025. 1:30 p.m. Portland police gave an update about ICE protests and PPB arrests. Chief Bob Day said the Bureau has been accused of bias from both sides, which tells him they're landing right in the middle. You know, the irony here is we were condemned in 2020 for our approach towards the left, and now we're being condemned in 2025 for our approach to the right. So I would say we've landed right in the middle of the fairway. And this is the nature of the rule of law. This is the application. Appropriate application of the rule of law that it is equitable across the board. 11:30 a.m. During a briefing on Friday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi will be investigating the Portland Police Bureau over the arrest of conservative influencer Nick Sorter. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland, where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. 10:52 a.m. The Portland Police Bureau released a statement on interest in Thursday night's arrests outside the ICE building, saying, "The Portland Police Bureau, PPB, is aware of public interest following several arrests made during demonstrations in the South Waterfront on the night of October 2, 2025. Among those arrested was an individual known to have a significant social media presence, as well as others representing a range of political viewpoints. As with all such situations, arrests are based on observed behavior and probable cause, not political affiliation or public profile. Formal charges will be determined by the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. PPB remains committed to protecting public safety, upholding the rights of all individuals to lawfully assemble, and enforcing the law impartially." 10 a.m. A hearing has begun where a judge will decide on whether there will be irreparable harm by either allowing the deployment to proceed or hitting the pause button on that deployment. Updates can be found here. 6 a.m. post-millennial journalist Katie Daviscourt and an assistant stood on top of the ICE building alongside federal agents for much of Thursday night. Daviscourt claims she was assaulted by Antifa on Tuesday and appeared on Fox News with a black eye the next day. In the appearance, she criticized Portland police, saying they did nothing to stop the suspect. 5:30 a.m. protest outside the ICE building in South Portland Thursday turned physical at points, prompting both federal and Portland police to make several arrests. Just after 8 p.m., officers saw two men fighting near the building's driveway and one of the men was knocked to the ground. Both men were detained by federal officers. At about 11:16 p.m., Portland police officers saw more fights break out and arrested 3 people. The following people were booked into the Multnomah County Jail for second-degree disorderly conduct. Angela Davis, 49, from Vernonia. Nicholas Sorter, 27, from Washington, D.C. Sunmi E., 43, of Portland. Sorter is a prominent conservative influencer with more than 1.2 million followers on X. Portland police did not release any other details. Horoscope for Friday, October 3, 2025. Moon alert. Avoid shopping, except food and gas, or important decisions from 1 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. After that, the moon moves from Aquarius into Pisces. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. This is an excellent day for warm discussions with friends and members of groups because you are a good listener today. In fact, because you will listen to someone with focus and interest, the conversation might prompt you to refine some of your future goals. It's possible. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. You can make an excellent impression on authority figures today, bosses, parents, and VIPs, because they see you as insightful and empathetic. Don't hesitate to express your ideas and opinions today, especially related to your health or a pet, because your audience is listening. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. A conversation with someone from another culture will be warm and rewarding today because both parties will feel sympathy for each other. You might enjoy talking to a child or someone younger. You also will appreciate the beauty and creativity of others. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. You might want to think twice about your financial dealings or money decisions you make with someone else because today, you feel sympathetic and generous, especially to someone who might need help. This is admirable. But don't give away the farm. True generosity is giving what is needed. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Discussions with neighbors, siblings, and relatives will be mutually rewarding today because you will listen to their point of view even if you don't agree with them. You will understand that their values are different from yours. Close friends, partners, and spouses will be grateful for your understanding. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. Money is a tricky subject. Many people don't want to discuss their earnings. They also might hesitate to bargain for something. Today you will be clear about financial matters, especially anything that you personally own. You will speak up to protect your best interests. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. Discussions with children will be mutually rewarding today. Likewise, romantic partners can achieve an easy understanding and practical give and take because instinctively, each party knows what the other one wants. It's not always this easy. Be grateful for heartfelt and direct communications. Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st. Trust your intuition today because your spidey sense is heightened. If doing research, seeking answers, or looking intuitively for a direction, listen to your gut instincts. Someone might choose to confide in you today. Consider this a compliment. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. A heart-to-heart talk with a friend today will be meaningful because people are in touch with their feelings, allowing them to listen.
We didn't get to your horoscope. I'm sorry. I didn't know that's what was about to happen. And we got the Psycho Star. What's going on, Psycho?
Psycho star Anthony Perkins' life from famous son to wife's tragic death. Anthony Perkins is best known for his role as Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. After Netflix dropped Monster, the Ed Gein story, viewers have been taking another look at horror flicks that took cues from the twisted killer, including Alfred Hitchcock's legendary Psycho. Article continues below. The 1960 masterpiece, widely regarded as one of the greatest horror films of all time, catapulted Norman Bates actor Anthony Perkins to stardom. Article continues below. The late performer is fondly remembered for his chilling portrayal, and his Hollywood legacy lives on through his son, actor, and director Os Perkins. Article continues below. But Anthony also battled numerous personal demons throughout his career, with his son later calling his most famous role a curse, reports The Mirror. Was Anthony Perkins' role in Psycho inspired by Ed Gein? Netflix's Monster, the Ed Gein story suggests that Ed Gein's horrific crimes inspired the novel and adaptation of Psycho, as Norman Bates has a similar relationship with his mother that Gein had in real life. Article continues below. After Augusta Gein's death, her son preserved and boarded up the room she used, making a shrine to his late mother. In the show, we even see Alfred Hitchcock and author Robert Bloch discussing Gein's crimes in great detail, with the director showing Anthony Perkins a recreation of Gein's home. The Netflix series tells the story of how one simple man in Plainfield, Wisconsin, became history's most singular ghoul. He revealed to the world the most horrific truth of all, that monsters aren't born, they're made, by us. Article continues below. Anthony Perkins' career after Alfred Hitchcock and Norman Bates. Before appearing in Psycho, Anthony Perkins also starred in the William Wyler movie Friendly Persuasion, which earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. The success of 1960's Psycho arguably led to Anthony being typecast, and the actor chose to buy out his Paramount contract and move to France, where he made his European film debut in 1961's Goodbye Again. Article continues below. In 1968, he returned to Hollywood and appeared in Pretty Poison that year, before starring in several critically acclaimed films including Catch-22 and Murder on the Orient Express. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Anthony's son Os Perkins has described Anthony's Psycho role as a curse. He said, "In the mythology of my family, the Psycho thing was considered far more of a curse than not. I don't think we ever had the family meeting where we all decided this was the story." Article continues below. But here's a young actor, an extremely beautiful young man who can play anything. He's really good. And he's doing this sort of matinee idol thing. He's playing cowboys and basketball players and baseball players, and he's real. Girls love him. Then this important part comes his way, which is so kind of dangerously close to who he actually was. He added, "It's funny because I look at a lot of my dad's later performances, and I find them very stilted and kind of strangely done, whereas the early stuff is really so impeccable. But I feel like the rock comes up, the bugs scatter, and that was Psycho." Anthony Perkins' secret behind-scenes struggle. While Anthony Perkins became a huge success following his Psycho fame, American conservatism at the time meant that he was forced to hide his sexuality throughout his Hollywood career. The star, who later married a woman, previously had relationships with actors Tab Hunter and Grover Dale, but this was all kept under wraps. Article continues below. Asked whether he was surprised to learn these truths about his father as an adult, Anthony's son Os Perkins told the Irish Times, "The surprise about it was that it was no surprise. Right? The surprise was that we hadn't been talked to about it. I don't know who would have that talk. Maybe, even today, I'm not sure how that conversation goes for people whose public lives don't allow it. I don't know how that conversation happens with children. I certainly don't blame anybody. But I do think that a gauze was put over everything, a membrane. Everybody seemed to know it. Certainly all of their friends. It wasn't like top agent, Sue Mengers, and top director, Mike Nichols were like, oh, really? You're kidding? Article continues below. He added, it's such a weird thing because even in today's context, it's not safe to be that way. It's still not safe to be gay and a movie star unless you're going to be a gay movie star. Anthony Perkins' wife and tragic death. Anthony Perkins married his wife, actress Barry Berenson, in 1973, and the pair welcomed 2 children. Article continues below. Barry and Anthony starred opposite each other in the 1978 Alan Rudolph film Remember My Name, and she also appeared with Jeff Bridges in 1979's Winter Kills and Malcolm McDowell in 1982's Cat People. The pair remained married until Anthony sadly died from AIDS-related pneumonia in 1992. Tragically, Barry was killed 9 years later as a plane passenger during the 9/11 attacks when American Airlines Flight 11 was hijacked and crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Article continues below. Anthony Perkins' sons and family legacy. The late Anthony Perkins is survived by 2 sons, Oz Perkins, 51, and Elvis, 49. Oz began his career as a child actor, playing a younger version of his father's character Norman Bates in 1983's Psycho 2 and later appearing in films like 2001's Legally Blonde and 2009's Star Trek. He is now best known for his work as a director, having helmed such horror films as 2020's Gretel and Hansel, 2024's Longlegs, and 2025's The Monkey. Article continues below. Meanwhile, Elvis is an American folk rock musician who released his first debut album, Ash Wednesday, in 2007. Monster, the Ed Gein story is available to stream on Netflix.
We're going to do one refresh to see if anything other than Taylor Swift is trending, and if not, that's probably a wrap for tonight, guys. Taylor Swift, Diddy, author, canceled lyrics, father figure, Eddie, I don't know. Yeah, we'll deal with Eddie later. Harley, West Virginia, Mercury. We already did that. We did all this, guys. We did all this, so I appreciate all you guys for coming out here. This was a nice, smooth stream tonight. I'm figuring out stuff a little bit more every time I do it, and as I'm learning how to do it, we learn how to do it. We're gonna do this stuff together. You feel me? So, if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're doing. You might want to leave a comment in. You might want to put this on a replay. We're going to start doing these sleepy night streams like every night or whatever. I'm even in a sleep mode after how we had this all set up. So until next time, guys, like I said, I just want to tell y'all peace. I appreciate you guys for being here. What else can I say? What else can I say? Oh, yeah, we available on TV and on phone. So, we got different ways to do it. You feel me?